Aloha, Scott Sylvan Bell coming to you live from Sacramento, California, June 4th, 2016, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I got the chance to see an interview with Fred Catona. And Fred Catona was a brilliant man, and I say was because he passed away this week. And he was legendary in the radio marketing world. He was able to help a lot of people find their way in radio marketing. Smart guy. And he really helped a lot of companies. He helped a company you may have heard of before called Priceline. That company sold $1 billion, a little bit over, like I think $1.8 billion in airplane tickets in a week or a month, and that record still hasn't been beat. Okay, big deal. He did a lot. And then, he also helped, this company called freecreditreport.com. And in this interview, they were talking, and he was being interviewed by a guy named Jim Palmer, and he said something that was really interesting. And it has a lot to do with face-to-face sales, just like it has to do with advertising, which is like over-the-airway sales. He said personalized messages are empowering. Personalized messages are empowering. Now, I'm going to explain to you what that means. If I use the word I and me, that's not very empowering to the buyer. That's like, they're like, why are you talking about yourself? So the empowering word to the buyer would be you and your. And one of the biggest mistakes that salespeople make that they may not realize, and it is a form of self-sabotage, is they'll get into a sales process and they're not selling very well, so they start talking about I and me and I and me and I and me. And then what happens is when they realize that, like all of a sudden they flip back and they go, oh, wait a minute, it's all about the consumer. It's all about the consumer. It's all about my buyer, right? So that's where it comes from. And so the second part of this interview, he was asked, he was like, people are scared. What should they know? And so Fred Catona says, go for the big yeses, not the small yeses. Don't ask things that if they say yes, it's going to mean a little to you. Be willing to risk a big no to get a big yes, and the big yes is what we're looking for. Right? And I don't know how many times I've ridden with salespeople that they're sitting right here and the buyer's across the table, and they very well know in their mind that if they shoot for the middle, they're going to get the sell. And if they go a little bit higher, that person may give them a couple of objections. But that product is a better choice for the buyer, right? Now, I'm a huge fan of Jim Camp, and he wrote the book Start With No, had a whole bunch of stuff on negotiating. He was like, but no is the place to start to find out where you're at. And if you're asking for the big yeses, yeah, you're probably going to get some no's, but it might give you that opportunity to come back and go down and say, hey, look, all right, well, that one doesn't work. Well, what about this one? And that one doesn't work. What about this one? You can't be scared of somebody telling you no. You know what's horrible is when somebody says, I got to think about it, which is really a no, but they're just scared to say it, and then you never hear back from them again, okay? So 2 amazing things from Fred Catona. Awesome guy. Wish he was still around. Too bad he passed away. Now, if you could do a small favor for me, in the box down below, leave a comment, question, or story. That'd be fantastic. To the right, to the left, there's a subscribe button. You know what you got to do. You got to subscribe. And then you can send it out to all your friends via StumbleUpon, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Why not even LinkedIn? Scott Sylvan Bell. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Aloha.